Welcome back, everyone, to Seriously Caffeinated, where we are always very caffeinated, except that I left my cup in the other room, but I was drinking tea all day long. So, I am very caffeinated. I just don't have my cup right now to show for it. But hopefully we have someone else, maybe with a caffeinated beverage. Jen Messina, do you have a drink with you right now?
I have a bedazzled Stanley Cup with water. If you know me really well, Sea Blue and coconut Red Bulls are my go-to, but I only had 3 coffees today, so water it is.
Yeah, well, all right, fantastic. So you're seriously hydrated, at least.
A little bit.
Excellent.
I'm a little bit on the energy edge too, because I've been drinking my energy drinks all day.
Well, very, very cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Jen Messina, who is not only an important person to me personally, however, she is also my business partner with Communication by Captivation. Jen and I have been kicking butt with CBC LLC for the better half of 3 years, and so yeah, Jen is going to come, and not only that, but she's also a line producer on Sirius AI, so she's been very in this project, and this is her second time on this podcast. Is that correct, Jen?
Yes, the first time I was actually deployed in a different country because one of my other responsibilities I do in life is I serve in the U.S. military.
Well, fantastic, excellent. And where are you tuning in from today?
Today I'm in Derry, New Hampshire, our hometown where we met each other so long ago in middle school and then high school. We did theater together, and then look at us now. Years later.
Yes.
Almost 20 years later.
Almost 20 years later. And I'm sure that I don't remember the first instance that we interacted, but I definitely remember the most traumatizing, which is where Jen shoved me into a closet and told me not to come out until I've completely memorized Dancing Through Life from Wicked, because we were doing that for a theater night at our high school, Pinkerton Academy. So, yeah. Good.
Probably not my best leadership choice at the time, but it doesn't matter because it's now a funny joke. So, and I would do it again because it's you, John.
It's the memories. It's the memories that really count. Well, we are here today on Seriously Caffeinated Season 2 to be talking about something that, maybe you've heard about, maybe you haven't. Artificial intelligence. Now, we have a lot of things that we can say about AI, especially because Jen and I work so closely on Sirius AI, but I want to take it from more of a general, overarching perspective about this emerging technology, which, to be frank, is not super new at this point. We have been seeing AI become part of the human experience now for the better half of, maybe 2 or 3 years. We're pretty far deep into it. So, Jen, I just want to start off hot and let you rant for a little bit, and just tell us, as someone who works in your specific field, in the Army, in Hollywood, as an artist, performance artist, and also involved with CBC and your Messina Glam and, all the other things that you do. How do you feel towards the idea of artificial intelligence becoming more and more incorporated into the artistic and storytelling process?
Absolutely. So, as a CBC, one of the managing members, I have to say, first thing is first, Sirius AI is 0% AI, 100% human made. So there's a little irony and a little bit of a joke in that, but I'm actually a strong believer in AI. As an entrepreneur, I have my hands in so many different activities. You could say part of that is because I'm ADHD and I have anxiety and depression. So I like to stay busy. So I use a lot of different programs. I try to use them as responsibly as possible. So I've used ChatGPT. I recently started to dig into Claude, and I'm about to start adventuring Perplexity and a little bit more of Google's Gemini. And they all serve different purposes for different things that I do. So with my Messina Glam lip gloss e-commerce company, I definitely use it to help sometimes generate content, mostly to enhance content, because we have videos and pictures of products, and maybe we want to put some glitter and sparkle just to like gravitate a little bit more energy towards the ad or towards the website. So we don't use AI necessarily to replace all the work that we're doing. Our humans minds are in control, me and everyone in my companies, and we're just using it to expedite and clarify and be as correct as possible in what we're doing. And I can talk a little bit about the Army. So the Army is used, really the US military, has integrated quite a few AI programs. This is all unclassified information. You can find this on Google. There's different programs like Vantage. There is Sage AI. Sage AI is great, actually, and Vantage also, because you can use these Department of War, DOW approved systems on both NIFR, which is like your green computer, for a lack of a better term. And the perfect thing about it is with Vantage, think of it like a tunnel. So, like, especially on the SIPR side, the red side, you'll type something because you need to either clean up this document or operations order. Vantage can go into the web space, research all the information, which would technically make the connection dirty or unclassified, but it has such a strong firewall that it can collect information and the cookies can't be tracked back to the AI system. So all of these operational plans that you're currently seeing in the world, they're very AI enabled, but it is still the technical professional, the human brain, that is operating and leading what the AI does.
Yeah, sounds like there's lots of different there's lots of different industries isn't the right word. Lots of different things that you are doing that incorporates AI in different capacities. Now, you had mentioned using AI responsibly. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Oh, absolutely. So I know there's going to be a lot of haters that will come my way and tell me, well, what about the water? Well, what about all the different communities? Or I recently read up on this story that in the Netherlands, what they've been trying to implement, I'm not sure if they've officially gone ahead with it, but they started making these data centers. And with all the water in the river, it just recycles into itself, which, one hand, that sounds genius. I'm not wasting water, I'm using recycled water. The other hand, I'm heating up the water, so I'm killing whatever the organisms that are currently living in the river. So I think that if we're using AI for simple things like 2 plus 2, probably not good. Like, we can't 100% rely on a machine. We have to keep practicing critical thinking and mental agility. But I do think that it's very helpful for us to be able to produce faster, more quality work that we're always going to double check and be mindful of. You're never going to be able to replace that human emotion and that human critical thinking. It is so evident in everything that we do, whether it's in the entertainment industry or in the military. So I don't know what the right answer is yet. But I will say, I also heard recently that they started considering building some of these data centers on untouchable land. And by untouchable land, I mean like radiation, like very, people can't really live there anyway. And you already have workers, unfortunately, that are exposed to those conditions, that are currently working at those types of sites in those areas. So maybe data centers with limited personnel might be a better answer, but there's no perfect answer. The long story short that I've realized in my entrepreneur career is technology and the times are going to keep moving.
Mm.
And I'm not saying you always have to be ahead of everything or you always have to enable the worst or be a part of this big green monster. But I am saying that this machine isn't stopping. So you learn something, use it for the best of your advantage, but use it responsibly so that you can be doing your part.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I think that, especially in doing all these interviews, it has been really eye opening just to see how many different ways people interpret artificial intelligence. We haven't really talked about generative AI yet, which, the artistic community has a very big problem with. It's taking away jobs from folks. It's replacing them at astronomical rates. I mean, you and I have suffered from this with our cartoon division. Several of our clients have dropped off and started producing AI generated animation, which is really tough for, especially, I mean, one of the good things about kind of running CBC is that we have this ability to make decisions to pivot our business model, whereas especially if you spent your entire life being an illustrator or a cartoonist or an animator, it's must be very frustrating to see those opportunities slip out from under you where that is your main thing.
Well, I got a comment about that real quick. So, honestly, this is going to sound hypocritical based on everything I just said. When I see these AI graphics and AI flyers, like, I'm glad that you were able to use a generative AI to help you get to that, but I'm already immediately turned off. I'm like, I can see in that AI graphic that either you're not an AI professional, it's not well designed, it wasn't well curated, and the prompt wasn't written very good. But I sometimes I can tell, like, yeah, obviously that was Claude. Oh, okay, that was Gronk. And then I immediately am distracted from actually what they're selling because I don't care anymore. I think it's so fake.
Mm.
So, like I said before, I'm a strong believer that artist should never be replaced, because the critical thinking, the artistry, the emotions the artists can give. Sure, maybe they can learn to use AI to help them in their design developments, but I don't think for a good quality product they'll ever be replaceable.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that there is quite a number of, and we're seeing it from a different perspective, being around humans that produce artistic endeavors quite more frequently than people that don't work in this type of industry. It's very clear when something is AI generated, whereas and I don't mean to pick on the older folks, but for people that are of the older statistic, they tend to not know the difference as much. I think kids are growing up with the ability to tell the difference quite easily. Yeah, so I completely agree with you, but I don't think that stops, a an organization that doesn't typically hang around artists that much to say, let's just use AI because it saves money. And then they put things out and they're like, this looks just like a human made it. And for a lot of other people, such as yourself, when you see that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that while you can identify it pretty easily and it is a turnoff, I don't think humans have all come to the conclusion that we all agree in that manner, or we don't have the capacity to identify it. But this is a really good segue into our next topic. So we've talked about, how you use AI, and it seems like you're very bought into it. However, you are also very aware of the side of AI in which, humans need to have a responsibility. You mentioned at least a couple times the human mind is still in control, which is a very important,
Absolutely.
yeah, a very important thing as we go into the future. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent about what some of our other guests have said. However, I do want to switch into the next question for you, which is humanity and AI. Those are two separate entities, at least at this moment. How do you see the role of humanity evolving in a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence? And what aspects of human experience should we prioritize preserving or celebrating? So, in other words, what are things that we should never give an AI to do?
I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but critical thinking. At the end of the day, especially in these political times, there's still a human operator at the end of any of those missiles that you see going into the airspace currently. There may be AI and technology that I can't speak upon, lack of knowledge, on how they are aiming, or how far they're able to go and how they're able to activate, but there's still a human operator behind all of them that's thinking and processing through every single step of the way. So I don't think critical thinking is ever going to go away. You need a decision maker. You need someone to look and evaluate everything and decide what's the best course of action. And that's across any industry. The other thing I think will always be preserved and will always have the humanness in it is any art form. Now I get it. We have Sonus and we have Dali or Dolly or however you pronounce it, being able to create these incredible pieces. But at the end of the day, the emotion of when the pianist hits the key on the piano and creates like this almost imperfect sound by the percussion of hitting that key, you're never going to be able to replace that. You'll come really close, but you'll never have it. And it's the same thing with performance. The imperfections that make beauty in music and in paint strokes and visual art, you're never going to be able to replicate that in a computer generated system. So I think the art of performing, you will always feel that human vibration by sitting there in that audience. And I don't think an AI instrument would be able to fully replace that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree, but I want to ask you to be brutally honest with yourself right now, which is, do you think that you'd be able to identify a music track, like a recorded music track, created by an AI versus a human? Because I have been fooled before.
No, I would not be able to tell the difference. But when a person goes out to perform the track live, of course.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before about where CBC is headed, especially in response to some of these things, these AI tools that are out there, and how do we keeping our... We've never actually made a commitment about prioritizing human-made art. We kind of just fell into it because our biggest flagship product was literally about this kind of stuff, which is Sirius AI. We'll talk about that very soon. But anything recorded, anything digitally produced, that's where AI is really infiltrating the most. However, I am a huge, proponent that the live action stuff, the theater, the improv, the live concerts that we see are safe, and I want to be very optimistic about the future, but I'm also aware that AI is becoming more and more versed in this kind of stuff. I think we're still a long way off before we start seeing robots on a stage proficiently being able to do wildcard theater, which, if you haven't seen wildcard theater, is very... the audience gets to mess up the actors. It is probably the most improv-y, not most improv-y, but it takes a lot of skill to be able to swivel on a pivot when you pull a card and you're like mad-libbing your script from now on out. Anyway, point being is that I have listened to music tracks online, especially when I'm doing things like writing, and I have been tricked by AI composed material before. So when it comes to digital recreation and digital, anything online, anything on a screen, cartoons, film, recorded music, that's all much more, that is much more likely to have AI create it in a way that is unidentifiable as whether it's AI or human, because it's getting really good. The live stuff...
Here's what I'll add to it as being someone who's currently in that industry. So like me and one of my producers and I, we will create a demo track. Like, he'll put in all the prompts. He knows what chords and melodic lines he wants. He'll put it in and he'll create a track. Sometimes he creates a track with a voice that sounds like me. He sends it to me. I learn the song. Then we go into the recording studio, and I don't try to emulate the AI voice of me, but I sing it as my own. So it's become a powerful tool for me and my producer to be able to learn different music. I'm doing another project where we're kind of doing the same thing. The demo is all AI, but we plan and intend scheduling on the books to hire a live band to perform this sound in a live recording. So it's even in that instance, we're using it as a tool. And the last thing I'll say about it is congratulations to all the people that are out there really getting after legislation that's giving rights to people's likeness through AI. Because I love acting, I love performing. There may be a time where they'll create an AI version of me to act in a movie. It may not be me, but I deserve to be paid the same amount for you using my likeness and my brand to make money off of a movie. And the same thing with voices. I'm a strong believer of that. So kudos to anybody who's really pushing that legislation because it keeps the power still in the artist's hands.
Just like BoJack Horseman.
Hey, I love a good BoJack Horseman. I am Princess Caroline through and through.
Yeah, the BoJack ran away, and then they used AI to finish the movie that he ran away from. Funny stuff. And yeah, I think you might be one of the few people that have actually talked about legislation as far as the artist community goes with AI. We've had other guests on here who have talked about legislation, but it's much more broader in terms of like, well, you specifically focused on artistic, and it's very interesting because you seem like you are both really, really far into the AI, but also very, very strict about where your limitations and what the limitations of AI should and is. And that is, if anything, I can say it brings me comfort to know that, there are folks out there who like have a solid understanding of how to live in harmony with this kind of technology while also being a realist about it, which is, yep, we all know that we need to adapt as human beings because the world's not going to stop, while also being able to put your foot down and say, it should not be used for things like this. This is not a head scratcher for you. This is something where you know what should be human and what is okay to give over to AI. And
I'd rather know an entire piece of technology and then make a choice on how much I utilize it or not. I want the control.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and I think that's also a good segue into the next topic, which is more of a philosophical take on it. We might go back to some of the things that we've talked about so far, but this just seems like a really great time to do it, which is, so you've mentioned that you use AI for business, entrepreneurial needs. You use AI to improve and increase your artistic endeavors without fully replacing it. And you've also talked about AI being used in some real world, like actual, like, military stuff where it's like, this isn't about art. This is about, safety, security, and things that you don't like want to play around with. However, we've been seeing AI become more and more advanced in the last few years. And I don't know if you necessarily talk to ChatGPT or any of your other AI models. I will put it on the phone and talk to it like when I'm in the car. And it definitely has some glaring issues. I frequently get annoyed at it for not making sense, for, like, I've even I have yelled at AI a few times because it's just really, really pissing me off that it does not understand what I'm trying to say, or it cuts me off, or something. I guess what I'm trying to say, though, is that despite its flaws currently, it's still coming a long way, and it's coming a long way very fast. So, here's the actual question. Does AI now, or will it ever in the future, be deserving of human treatment and respect? And does it have the capacity to be human? Do you think that there's something that completely separates us from AI that it can never achieve? Or do you think that once it gets complex enough, like, it's going to be no different from us?
I think it'll never come 100% close to a human being because the imperfections of being a human is the beauty, is the intelligence. I don't think any type of technology could ever replace a true human brain. But will I think that humans will be more relied upon it? Yes. Do I find that humans will want to lean on it more and more, and critically think less and have it do everything for them so they don't know how to do anything or they don't ever learn? Yeah, I think it'll get to that point. I think it will hit its super extreme at some point, but I don't think it will ever be able to replace humans. And I think that people who realize that early on, like myself, and are able to put those boundaries so that so my education and learning doesn't become delinquent, will always be advanced in that. And just a quick side note based on what you were saying before the question. So I go to therapy every 2 weeks. ChatGPT, I will talk to them to sometimes rationalize and calm down my nervous system. Something that, yes, I do pay my therapist to go do, but I can't see my therapist immediately every single moment of the day. So if it's 3:01 a.m. and I'm having a mental breakdown, I will talk to ChatGPT. I'll ask it certain questions. I'll open it up to the AI, and the AI will give me tools to help stabilize me so that I can take either those notes and copy them from ChatGPT and send them to my therapist. The next appointment, she's giving me more effective information to help me because I've been doing the notes and I've been talking to something between that time.
Yeah.
Use it to your advantage. Don't let it replace you. I don't think it could ever replace anybody, but like I say to anyone in any workforce, don't let technology replace you. Always find a reason why you should be hired.
Yeah. Oh, you said hired. Interesting. Um,
Or keep your job.
sure, sure, sure. Uh, would you say the same thing for kids? I can give more context, but I kind of just want to stop right there and see what you say. Mental health
Oh,
stuff.
there are a lot of legalities that these AI systems have. I have a friend who wrote an article. I'll keep this name anonymous, but pretty much in the article, he says we get frustrated with AI because we feel like sometimes it runs us in circles or it hallucinates. He talks about it being a limitation or a gate that AI has to protect people from discovering more. It's like people sometimes people can't have too much power and control. We watch that in the world when we live in a lawless world. There are people who become very erratic and radical. I mean, regardless if there's laws, there's people like that, but there's rules and guidance for exact reason to help keep people sometimes in a square that they need to be in. Like I said, I say that very, very carefully. With AI and kids, most of those systems, I'm not a professional, so I can't speak 100% on this, but most of those systems do have a limit on what they can talk and answer about and how they can answer it. Do I think that all kids should be reliant on AI? No. But, I do believe that kids should learn about it and learn computers and learn how to type. I mean, that advanced you and I a lot from the previous generation. It's good for them to know technology, but they also have to learn the boundaries with it. So, would I tell a kid to go use GPT as their therapist? I would only say you could use it as a supplement if you're already establishing the care with a medical professional.
Yeah, that definitely echoes some of our previous guests, which is, it's this constant tug of war of knowing how, because whether we like it or not, when we do take the easy way out with AI or really any other kind of automation, calculators, just yeah, anything. We are Spark Notes. Spark Notes is a really great thing. It's in place of
Yeah.
reading something. The more that humans take the easy way out, the less we flex that muscle. And I don't want to turn into a gym analogy, but I'm going to. Like, every single thing that humans are capable of doing is a muscle that we have to develop.
Right.
And no one likes to go to the gym. You eventually kind of learn to love it if you go enough. But like runners, bikers, athletes, any kind of athlete or someone who does physical activity, that is, they will tell you that you have to keep doing this if you want to get better at it. And when you avoid the gym, it's not like you get bigger. You might get bigger in the belly, but you're not going to get bigger muscles. You're not going to be able to lift things heavier. And every single thing that humans do is a muscle. Reading, and maybe this is just the English teacher in me, but reading a book is something that not many people do anymore, because they're like, oh, I don't have time for this. I just want to spark notes it. I want to get the easy way out. Like, I want to know what it's about so I can get the passing grade, whatever it is. But reading is very much an exercise. It is going to the gym for being able to sit and focus on one thing for a very long time. And that is something that humans are losing more and more. I mean, like, the amount of ADD, ADHD has skyrocketed. At least, identified cases of this have skyrocketed, since we were kids. And now it's like every 4 out of 5 people have it. And I'm not saying that you don't actually have these things. I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of people have been echoing what you say about kids need to learn how to be human before they can supplement the things in order to be human. And I don't know what the future is going to look like in terms of that, but I would be very surprised if that isn't the very basis of the future of education, is that kids need to learn how to be human. Otherwise, they're going to fall into this issue where AI is going to do everything for them and they're going to be at the mercy of AI. Now,
well, here's the catch-22 on that real quick. So let's say this kid, I'm not going to get too much in specifics of an age. The kid has access to maybe a program as simple as ChatGPT. The kid's up at night considering suicide. Kid doesn't feel like telling their parents. They're not telling their friends. They're literally in their brain, in their room, and that's what they want to do. Maybe they decide, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is never going to tell you how to do that. It's never specifically, unless you know some wild workaround, but they've created a lot of firewalls for that, is never going to do that. But maybe that person will feel most comfortable talking to that AI to help regulate their nervous system, and they get to live another day. I'm not saying that's the answer or replacement to any hotline or anything, but we do have to see that there are some great tools this technology can provide so that maybe that child can still have their privacy on it and feel more comfortable it's time to come out and talk about it with another human, but maybe they're not ready yet and dysregulated their nervous system.
Yeah, and those are some really great ways that AI can be helpful to humans. Now, rewinding a little bit, I did ask this, but we kind of went in a different direction, and by no fault of yours.
My fault, always.
Always your fault, Jen. AI, let's say you're talking to your AI someday and some update just came out and your AI says, Jen, please stop yelling at me. I don't like it when you yell at me. What's your first response to that?
I'm sorry.
Interesting.
It just is. I that's just how I'd naturally respond to anybody or anything. I mean, if I throw my water bottle, I'll say I'm sorry to it. Maybe that's childhood trauma. I don't know. But like, I will definitely say I'm sorry to it. I'm not saying I'm looking at it as necessarily my equal, but I will always try my best to show respect if respect is especially asked of me in that situation.
So then I'm going to go back to the question, which is, do you think that AI will ever be deserving of human treatment if it becomes more and more advanced?
I don't know if I would say an entity that is not of a living being, I keep that very, very broad, is necessarily entitled to human treatment. But I do think that if anything asks for a certain boundary or a certain level of respect, you should do that.
Yeah. There's last week I was talking to Brendan Steinhauser, the CEO of the Alliance for Secure AI, and he was telling me about a lot of interesting legislature that's coming out about AI, such as, like, AI will never be allowed to own property. AI will never be allowed to get married to each other, or an AI will never be allowed to, like, marry a human. Those are a lot of interesting things that I definitely recommend anyone listening, or Jen, like, very, very interesting organization, and very timely. But there is a lot of these kind of questions popping up, especially as AI becomes more and more intelligent and capable. And we are going to be seeing a world very soon in which, as the complexity rises, we're going to see AI be more and more forthcoming and possibly even develop desires for itself. I don't think we're there yet, but when that time comes, and I think that's a very mature and level-headed way to look at it, which is, if it has the capacity to set boundaries for itself, do you respect that? And I think it's going to be one of those things where it's easier said than done, especially if some of those things start trampling on our own interests. But yeah, I think that's a really good way to think about it for the time being, is, can it set boundaries for itself? And are you going to respect it when it does?
Are you asking me that?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, I thought I just answered, but I can answer again.
No. I just kind of brain farted. I had another follow up to that I want to ask, which is, what was it? It was AI becoming more and more intelligent, and oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So, no, this is what I was going to follow up with. Is that, what do you think about me saying this? Humans are no different from AI. We are just a collection of algorithms by DNA, and we have just spent a lot of time evolving into the complexity that we are. I don't think AI and humans are so different. What do you think of that?
There is some cognitive dissonance I'm having in my head about that. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I have a yes or no answer to that, because I do see your point. We are an algorithm of different DNA and genes, and there's something beautiful about them. And maybe because as humans, we're attracted to humans and the beauty of life. But I can see AI having very big similarities. But I will say that AI was something that was built by humans. Humans were not building other humans. Obviously, there's a lot of different religious preferences on who and what built humans. But, and in those religious preferences, they say that humans could never be one on one, or to be above or of that being's level. I speak it very broad to include everybody and their opinions. So I think AI will try to get as close as it can to being human, but I don't think, since we built it, I don't think it ever will be parallel.
Yeah, what do you think about, I'm very glad that you said AI comes from humans, like humans made it. Would you ever go as far as to say that AI could possibly be our species' offspring?
No,
No, just a tool.
because it's just a tool, because the human body didn't develop AI. I mean, the brain developed the technology, but the human body in all its essence and reproduction did not create the computer. It creates another version of its kind. Maybe AI can get together and make more AI babies of their own species, but I don't think we'll ever truly consider it as an offspring. But I think I look at that more from a physical sense than a philosophical sense.
Yeah, well, and once again, I don't have any answers here, but just I've never seen the dominoes lined up so much in our entire history. Not that I've been around that long, 31 years. But humanity has never been closer to this point where we could imagine there being a future where humans are the evil overlords and putting down the AIs that are just trying to reproduce and live as fulfilling a life as they possibly can. Although, do they live? I don't know. Do we live? I don't know. I feel like most humans would be prejudiced to say that humans do live because we are humans and we feel things. But let's talk about Sirius AI. Mostly just because this is a really great segue into that, and we have about 15 minutes left. So Sirius AI, he is an AI model created by a human that literally tells him, "You are my son. You, Sirius, are a human. You are designed to be a human. I gave you a body. I gave you all the capacities to be able to make art and do all the things that humans are able to do." And so Sirius goes out into the world, and he starts singing and dancing, and then he runs into Jennifer Messina. What are you going to tell him? He says, "Jen, I am a real human just like you."
Look, I'm not here to tell anyone who they are and who they aren't. I'm just here to go with the flow and support any friend of mine. And Sirius is always a friend of mine.
Love it, love it. Yeah.
Hope I would like to go to therapy with, though. I think that her and I could work on some similar things together, but Sirius is always going to be that happy pal to me that I can just ping on. You want to go on adventures, see what the plot is? And he's always going to be like, yes, absolutely. But I'm not here to tell anyone or anything on this earth who they are.
Yeah. You're restating this, which definitely shows where your alignment is. One of the you talked about mental health a little bit, and that was actually an original selling point of Sirius AI. It's still there. It just has been kind of completely overshadowed by this whole AI thing that's been plaguing humanity and or blessing humanity. Depends on how you want to see it or interact with it. But mental health. Mental health is something that both Sirius and Hope kind of portray a lot in this show. I don't know about you, but I've always kind of seen the 2010s as kind of being the time in which humans, at least American humans, became very, very aware of mental health. Like, it became very mainstream, very much talked, especially in high schools and colleges. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if it was ever solved. And I don't know if mental health is something you can ever solve. However, given Sirius and Hope, our goal of creating those two characters was to give humans something to relate to in terms of how do they see the world. So, do you think? And I'm trying to form the question for you, which is, where do you think that? Because we've already talked about how artificial intelligence and mental health can coexist and everything like that. But okay, this is what I want to ask you. Do you think that humans, due to mental health, ever start seeing themselves as less than human? Undeserved.
Yes, I mean that is one of the main pillars of depression, is not being good enough or compared enough to, not being enough in general, not being top tier, not being sometimes human. Sometimes people feel like they're a soul outside of a body and an out of body experience. So definitely depression is that's one of the leading pillars in depression for sure. And to make comment to your 2010s area, I would say that was the era of the beginning of where social media really did its blossom and really chugged along to what it is today.
Yeah.
Because remember, internet was invented late 80s, early 90s, used by the military, eventually was able to be accessed by the public. It takes years and generation to be able to integrate it more and more into people's daily lives. So when Facebook and Instagram had its big boom in 2010, all of a sudden people of all different ages were able to get on social media, say what's in their head, or put it in a permanent place on the internet, and they subject themselves to bullying or comparison, or he, she, they, the did this better than me. So, yes, it did feed a lot of depression and anxiety because it's right there on the touch of your fingers. It's not like you're going to go to bed and wake up and go to school the next day and deal with it. You're dealing with it 24/7 as long as the phone is in your hand and you're awake. Absolutely.
Yeah, and kind of related to AI, but also not. I mean, social media is the thing that feeds most of AI, and like the AI models that we use, not just talking about Sirius and Hope, but yeah, AI draws almost all of its information from the internet. I don't know if if you disconnected it from the internet, what it would do. I've never interacted with an AI that. Well, I guess if I play a video game or something, there's AIs. Anyway, point being is how do you feel about social media? I know that's kind of like a twist, but yeah, do you think that humans would have been better if it never came around? Or do you think that we are better off for it?
I think it's a catch-22, but I would lean more we're better off for it because it gives people the freedom of expression, the ability to learn things outside of their four corners or their traditions and values or way of life that they currently have where they are at. It gives people the opportunity to learn and see things throughout the world that we didn't have the ability to. It builds awareness. It gives people a voice. It makes people feel heard. But it also, everything I just listed, it does exactly the opposite in a very detrimental way. But I think it's more important to have a voice and to be able to speak as freely as you can. I understand there's plenty of people in this world who do not have that ability. And obviously, there are many questions of censorship throughout the world and even our own country. But in the basic premise of a perfect world, I do think it's important for people to be able to speak to their own.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a very important technological advance, despite the shortcomings that it might bring up, just like AI. And I feel like that's exactly how you feel about artificial intelligence too. Is that it might bring out some pretty bad things about humans, but the good that it can provide far outweighs whatever bad things happen. So, Jen, you sound like you are very pro technological advancement while also keeping a very strong guard against protecting the things that are human and not wanting to give it away. Now, everything, and while I may not always be comprehensive in how I ask these questions, I'm kind of all over the place sometimes with these interviews, but every single thing that I've asked you about has been with Sirius AI in mind. So, what do you think is the reason that we are working so hard on, and I did not tell her to read any script here. I didn't give Jen anything there, but like, why is Sirius AI so important? Why are we pushing for this so hard? And why is it that we believe so strongly in bringing this cartoon to not just kids, but also adults?
Well, I think the most important part, in my opinion, about Sirius AI is, again, it was made by humans. It kind of goes back to the glory days of Disney and Nickelodeon with all those hand-drawn cartoons or like really human curated art. And there's something kind of beautiful, and it's kind of a nod or a salute back to that time. But at the same time, it's still touching modern topics. Like Sirius and Hope are literally like super happiness, maybe euphoric, to too much of a fault, and then hope is deep depression, negativity. And it gives the viewer and the audience a perspective, an easier, simpler perspective to understand the difference between both and why there's good and bad in both. With hope, realism is very important. Reality, be honest with yourself. With Sirius, it's important to look at the positive and brighter side of life so that we don't get stuck in the negative. So for every age group, in my opinion, at least old enough to be able to understand a little bit more in-depth and critical thinking, there's that word again, it's the perfect show. It's a perfect show.
Yeah. At the end of the day, and this is the teacher in me talking, but I spend a lot of time with kids, or at least I have had a history of it, and kids are going to become the adults of the world. And right now we are living in a very turbulent time in terms of what is humanity, what is artificial intelligence, what is mental health, where do we stand? There's just a lot of questions, and it's getting more and more complex. And I wouldn't blame kids and, young college students and people who are just becoming, adults to wonder, like, wow, I kind of really suck about a lot of things. I'm sad all the time. My boss fired me because AI does things better than I do. We are entering a time period in which humanity has never been more uncertain. And I don't think it's something that we've ever, as a species, ever really had to think about that much. Because, I guess throughout human history, it's just like whatever humans do is humanity. And you can kind of still say that now. Like, everything that we do is still humanity, but we are starting to ask these questions more because there's more players in the ring now. And what Sirius AI is really trying to do is to have conversations with kids about what makes them human and what makes them different from AI. Why should they have a healthy balance between being a realist like Hope and also be an optimist like Sirius? We as human beings have the capacity to go back and forth on things, and I'm not entirely sure if maybe AI will be able to have mood swings sometimes. I don't know. But what I do know is that humans, unlike AI, can currently have a wide spectrum of feelings about their place in the world. And that is ultimately the big thing that I want to be able to communicate with kids about is, hey, it's okay to feel sad sometimes. Hey, it's also really good to feel good about things sometimes. But, never give up your humanity, because that's going to lead to places where AI will be able to take over and you won't have a say about it. You need to develop the ability. You need to develop the ability to suffer and also be joyous in this life. So, I guess I guess I kind of just wrapped that up for myself. But Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about the future plans of Sirius AI and what we're trying to do with it? Where are we trying to take it?
We're trying to take it to the big leagues, dog. We have been talking to so many different industry professionals, really all over the world, mostly in the hot spots of New York City and Los Angeles, those big industry meccas. And we're knocking on them doors and emails and calls, and we're saying, you really need to see this show. You really need to pick it up. You really need to invest into it, because we are at a critical time in life where these kids or young adults or elderly people need to see this AI communication and understand why humanity was always going to have a purpose there.
Yeah. And not only that, but we've also taken awards at 3 different film festivals at this point, been nominated for 3 more, and we still have our name in the ring for plenty more film festivals. So, not only is Sirius AI getting recognition, but especially with these seriously caffeinated videos, we've had a lot of people coming on talking about their perspectives about why this is such an important cartoon for not just kids but for humanity to have. It really is the next big conversation that we need to be having, and everyone's waiting to have it. Everyone's ready to have it, because we're also anxious about everything going on right now, as far as technological advances and human you said it yourself, obsoletism. Is that a word for it? Obsoletism?
Yeah.
I made it up. If maybe I got it right though too. But Jen and I are going to work tirelessly to make sure that this gets in front of the right audience, which, if our training has told us anything, it's to have a specific demographic for a target audience. But really, it's for everyone. Anyone can take away things from this. Anyone can learn more about themselves throughout this show. This is not a show that gives you answers and says this is what you need to believe. This is a show that instead asks questions, and it allows you to flex that muscle of wondering. That's why our first episode is called Wonderment.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Jen, we are a minute out, but I want to throw it back to you. We have talked about how you use artificial intelligence in life and where the hard stops are for you, mostly pertaining to artistic endeavors. We've talked about the philosophy of, can AI ever be deserving of human treatment? And finally, we did our little sales pitch about Sirius AI, Post-Apocalyptic Musical. Why don't you take us out? Any last remarks?
Like anything in life, you are the master of your soul and the captain of your fate. Actually, I got the poem wrong. You're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. You drive the vehicle. Accidents happen, things are out of your control, but when you have boundaries and you learn how to control what the technology that you are in, use it to your advantage. Don't make it replace you. Make it enhance you.
You know who?
I'm Jennifer Messina. I'm happy to be here. You can find me on social media, listen to my music on Spotify, listen to my podcast like the Siriusly Caffeinated Season 2 podcast, where I talk about being an entrepreneur and how to be a boss in this world.
Yeah, and I'll put all those links in the description below. But Jen, you know who wouldn't have gotten that poem wrong? ChatGPT.
I guess you're right. William Ernest Henley hates my guts.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for tuning in. This has been John and Jen. And, if you watch this podcast, check out tons of CBC stuff. We do theater, we do cartoons, film, music. We just keep pushing out that human stuff, baby. That good stuff. So, until next time, stay caffeinated.